The next topic that I want to talk about is mental illness and mental disorders. I feel like it's a super, like, it's almost like silenced. Like, people that suffer from mental illness don't talk about it. Like, act like you're normal. What's normal? I have suffered from plenty of mental disorders my entire life. I suffer from bipolar type 2, anxiety, depression, ADD. I know what it's like to feel silenced. I know what it's like to be told that your mental disorders don't exist, or you're fine, get over it. Not true. Mental disorders can be either passed down from genetics, or they can form over time based on the situation that you're living in, your environment. They're, people who have anxiety, usually they're surrounded by things or people or an environment that is giving them anxiety. My senior year of high school, I threw a party, and my mom got home from her vacation and was found out about the party. And I knew, yes, like, anybody who does that is going to get in trouble. Like, it happens. Like, you're going to get in trouble. I knew I was going to get in trouble, but the extent that my mom went to, and the effects of her words are what I really want to focus on. She got home, she pulled me out of school. She was so mad. Pulled me out of school. I went home with her. She's yelling at me, you're grounded, this, that. I know. I was crying. I don't want you to think that I didn't care. I cared. But she took it to the extent of, she looked at me. I'm already a mess, crying and apologizing and saying, like, I'm sorry. Like, what can I do to fix this? I'm so sorry. And she goes, you can't fix this. It's too broken. Okay. And then I feel like, honestly, she was kind of getting amusement out of my pain, because she took it to the extent of, I'll never trust you again. Okay, trust can be broken, but trust can be rebuilt. And I'm your daughter, so I don't really understand how that even makes sense. But I said I understand. And then she looks at me and she goes, and I'll never love you again. To me, I can't even wrap my head around that. I can't even fathom a mother saying that to a daughter. And what am I, a senior year? I'm 17 years old. You don't say that to anybody. You don't say that if you have a daughter or son, whatever. You don't say that, especially over throwing a party. Come on. That doesn't even make sense. It's like, that just it doesn't make sense. So I will say that already up until that point, my mom didn't know what was going on in my head. My mom really didn't care to ask what was going on in my head. We didn't really have that kind of relationship. Pretty obvious. She didn't know that the night that I threw the party, that Saturday night, that I attempted suicide in my own room. She didn't know that. She didn't know that my best friends came upstairs to look for me and I wasn't responsive. She doesn't know that. because she didn't care to get to know her daughter and what was going on in her daughter's head. And in that moment, all she was thinking about was herself. Like, you know, how much punishment does she deserve? I understood that there would be consequences. I threw a party. I get it. And I get that there's liability, and I get that. I understand that. But you don't say that to somebody. You don't say that to your daughter. That comment led me to attempt suicide 2 more times. And then beg my mom to check me into a mental institution because I knew I needed help. And it was still a fight. It was still a fight. It was a fight about, you know, you'll be fine. You just go to bed. You'll be fine. And you'll wake up in the morning and you'll feel better. Or I'm not taking you to a hospital. And she had taken my keys away from me. She'd taken my phone away from me. I didn't have any way to get to a hospital besides her. And it was a control factor. So eventually, after a lot of fighting and begging to live, because I wanted to live, she finally checked me in, and I was inpatient for 10 days. That kind of leads into another topic that I feel people shouldn't be afraid to talk about, is getting help. You should get help if you need help, for whatever reason. You know, if you're not in a good headspace, if you're sad and just you need someone to talk to. Yes, you can get a therapist, but if you've had suicidal thoughts, if you've attempted suicide, you are not alone. And there are a lot of people in this world that you wouldn't even guess have attempted suicide. You wouldn't even guess that they struggle with mental disorders and mental illness and depression, and you wouldn't know. And my mental disorders are with me. They're a part of me. They are a part of who I am. They make me who, I would never say they define me, but they are a part of me. They make me who I am. And I was on medication for a long time, especially after that. They have doctors that prescribe you medication, and I was able to get that help. But I also knew when the medication wasn't helping anymore, and it was literally the environment that I was in every single day. It was the toxic verbal abuse, the mental abuse, the